Welcome back everybody to another Geometry Dash tutorial. In this one I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can have the background split inside Geometry Dash, and then you can start seeing the background kind of, like foreshadowing what kind of objects are going to come in your way. So it's going to be exactly like the every end effect. So let's just get straight into it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to this level, which is exactly what I was watching on Nexus channel, and from there you will see this background, and you're just going to go ahead and select it all and copy plus color, and you're going to go on to a brand new level. You're going to paste it in there, and you can just make like a custom large dark glow to make this look more realistic. And after you've done that, it's actually pretty simple. So first thing is you want to place the background a little bit like that, and then give it a group ID. So we want to give it 7, and we want to make 7 follow the camera on a 0.1 speed, and this is gonna happen forever. So let's see how that's gonna play. I'm gonna just mute the song. By the way, I'm gonna try my best to explain everything as we go, and I believe this one should be 0.9. I think, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think this is the exact same background speed. So we're gonna enable the ground just so that we can see. And now you guys can see this is, it looks like a real background, but you guys are gonna see in a few seconds that it's gonna start cutting off, and it's just not really the real background. So there we go, the background has ended, and this is a very important thing you guys need to know, that the background is not allowed to end. However, you can't just do this. Well, you can, but it's just unnecessary object. So what we're gonna do is we're simply just gonna move this background to the right at a time where the player doesn't even notice it. And to know exactly what value it is, we're just gonna grab this and we're gonna copy it and paste it, and then we're gonna go onto a new layer, and then we're gonna basically move it. So 1 2 3 4 5, that's 5, and another 5, another 5, and another 5. So that's 1 2 3 4. So 4 times, and then you have these little ones. So let's just keep that in mind. So now we want to do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and that's 8 of these guys and 4 of these guys. So now your attempt is to move 7 to a certain X on a silent mode, on a move time of 0, without the player actually noticing that the background has moved. What the heck was that? So we said 8 times this, which is, 4 times this, which is 200, because 1 is 50 and we have 4, so it's 200. And I actually forgot what the other one was, so that's not too good. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so 8 of this one, which this, I think it's 80, so 280. And now if the background moves without you noticing, that means that you did it correctly, but the values are not exactly correct. So the background is here, and we're moving it to the right, which doesn't make any sense. We want to move it to the left. So we're going to do negative, and the 80 was way too much. So we're going to change it to, I kind of forgot what this is, and we're going to just test it out. So it's not 40, then it must be 20, right? Because that seems like it's the most reasonable one. And I just enabled small step, and I multiplied my value by 3. And now I basically have a lot more freedom to change the values without it going too crazy the one way or too crazy the other way. So I'm way more specific than I want. And as you can see that it's almost done. Like, you can almost not see the background moving, which is pretty good. So you just keep adjusting this value until you have, oh my god, I think that is literally the perfect one. I don't even notice where the change is. However, it happens, which is epic. So now, if you just place this somewhere in here, and we're gonna play this at 2 times speed by placing a time warp trigger, and we're gonna start, and somewhere in here the background did move. However, we did see it, so that's not good. And also, since we started here, we were moving the background to the left. But if this is your camera, if like this is literally the player, and then we go like that slowly, and then it's here, and this is exactly where we want to move it, right before it gets spoiled. So then we obviously want to move it to the right, right? So all of this has to go to here, so because our camera is right there. So we're going to change this again to plus, because right now this is what makes the most. Oh, that was perfect. The position was perfect, and it's just about changing the position of the move trigger. But the values were actually pretty excellent. Okay, so just find the perfect place to place this, and after you do that, you are going to do the following. And I think that's a bit too short. Yes, it is. Or what you could do if you don't want to waste your time is you could just play and then see where the background cuts and then just instantly stop, and then you can see where your player is. But now, yep, the background moved and we didn't even notice. This is perfection, exactly what we want. So the background has moved and we did not even notice, which means we have now basically an infinite background if we just loop this correctly. And to know how to loop this correctly, you want to grab this and copy it and then paste it over here. And this is the one for the follow, so we're going to move it away. This one will move it and this one will move it. So we're going to go ahead and create loop, and what that will do is create 2 spawn triggers, which will have a duration of 9.3, because that is my distance between the 2 move triggers, which is perfect, because now what I can do is this one up here, we just want to grab it and place it right here, and that's perfection, because now it's basically going to loop between this and that every 9.3 seconds. You could just use a single move trigger and then just do it, but I just did it that way with 2 move triggers because I just wanted to know the exact duration that it needs. And if you see any issues, what you can do is simply just get rid of everything just to make it a bit more optimized, and then you can just create loop on this single one, which is exactly what I was talking about. And now you can adjust the delay here, perhaps 15. So all those like small values that I'm talking about, it all depends on how big your background is and where did you cut it off, where did you start it to move, and all these things basically play a major role. But I think I found the perfect, actually never mind. Perhaps 20 is even better. But once you have it all finished, it's actually like not that difficult to get the rest finished. So now I just want to make sure that it doesn't cut. It doesn't cut. Perfect. The background is looping. And in case it breaks later on, just adjust the delay value. And I'm just gonna, I think this is enough. This is like how long would the level be if you were here. That's a 42-second level. That's pretty good. Like just pure background. And if you basically just wait a bit more, it might break, and then you just adjust it one more time, and then you have a background pretty much forever. So now I'm just gonna create like a very simple thing that you guys are gonna be able to do the every end thing on it. So the every end effect. So I don't want to make this impossible, actually. I kind of want to verify this. But now we have this, and let's just, I don't want to go crazy, but I just wanted to show you guys like the concept of how you make it work. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a bit of random spikes here and there. Also, I don't like my tutorials to look bad, which is why I just randomly decorate stuff. And we're going to add a bunch of these guys to indicate that, yup, they even work with that as well. And finally, we're going to end on a triple spike that also has a bunch of chains on it. So that's pretty cool. And now just, you know, just to make it a bit more long, I'm going to copy and paste this just because your guys' level is probably going to be a bit longer than this. So actually, I still feel like this is way too short. So let me just, I don't want it to look too familiar. So I'm going to make this into a double spike just so that in the background, you guys can exactly see which part we're arriving at, you know? So up and then down, triple spike, up, this one's short, and then double spike and up again. So that's pretty cool. So after you've done your gameplay, what you want to do is we want to split the background and show this gameplay behind it. So we're going to copy and paste it, this whole gameplay, and then we're going to go to edit group, and then we're going to move them onto a new layer, extra, and we're going to make them no touch. And this is important because otherwise you're going to be interacting with the background elements, which is not exactly what we want. And place it behind, maybe B2, B1, no, B2. It really depends on where your background is. For me, B2, which fits perfectly. Just make sure it's like actually behind the background. And now it doesn't really matter what you do with it. So as long as you just don't delete it. Okay, cool. So now we have this. Now let's just start splitting the background somewhere in here. So how do we split the background? Well, the background is actually already split into different sections. And the background that I took already even has group IDs. So the upper section you guys can see is group 5, enable show object info if you don't have this. And so this is 5 and this is 6, you guys see? So all of them are 4 and 7, but the bottom section is 6, the upper section is 5. So 5 is going to go up. So we're going to add a move trigger. We're going to move 5 up by, I don't know, like 50, like really slow, maybe 10 seconds. And then we said 6 is going to go down. And now the background is literally going to split, as you guys can see. So that looks very cool, but we're not even close to being finished now, because now we want to change the background, the actual background of the level, into a, you know, this smooth guy. I don't like using this because it doesn't have this black, you know, gradient on top. So I think this is a lot more clean to use. And yeah, so if you copy the background from the level I told you about, you should see these guys, these lines, which are on, you know, color 9. And what we can do with them is we can pulse channel 9 to white. And now if we go through this pulse, you guys are going to see the background is literally going to pulse, which is really cool. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do like a couple of 1, 2, and then 3. And then the background is going to start splitting. So 1, 2, 3, and boom, it goes up. That looks pretty cool. I know it's a bit too slow, but I just want to, for the sake of the tutorial, I just want to make it quick and just show you guys how it could look. You could make it obviously a lot slower. And by the way, we're using a time warp, don't forget that. So, okay, so now we don't want you to, like, there's just double gameplay right now, it's just nothing makes sense. So let's actually make this appear in the background where you can see it cleanly. So there are 2 different ways that every end does it. And the first one is to basically delay, or not delay, like negative delay it, if you want to call it that. So that if you are here, like if you are in here at the beginning of the level, you will see this part in the background. And the more you go, you will see basically like the upcoming part. But another way is to flip it on the X using this, and then it shows you the upcoming part, but it goes from the opposite side, which is pretty good, which is exactly the one that I'm going to use. So I want to place it here, but make sure you never do this and move them too far to the left, because if you do, you guys are gonna see your objects are gonna get absolutely, yeah, there's no undo if you like save the level or something like that. It's gonna be over for you. So we're gonna place them right here, and I'm gonna give them a group ID of 12. Also, I like to make them a tiny, actually making them smaller could be an issue because it's gonna change how much you see, but I'm just gonna make them a bit smaller. So something like this. And also, I believe the opacity isn't that high, so I'm going to give them both 10, and I'm going to make the opacity really low. Or you could just do 12. Actually, I'm going to do 12. This is much better because we don't want the ground spikes to be white. So we're going to do 12. I'm just going to like decrease the opacity. And now we're just going to make 12 follow the camera. 12 follow the camera forever. And now what you guys will see is that if it opens up, you guys can see the level is behind and it looks really cool. I kind of feel like it's still too... okay, so it makes sense. So you can actually make it a lot smaller, but the condition is that you then have to move it faster for it to always make sense. So I'm gonna make it a bit smaller like that. So now, how do you actually make it move? You could do just double this one so that it basically follows the camera 2 times. And you guys can see that it's just way too fast, and we don't want it to follow the Y. And also in here, we don't want it to follow the Y. However, on the X, it's not too bad, but we just want to adjust this. So this is the value that you're going to play around with in order to see what's coming up next. And you guys can see this is not bad. But the only issue here is that I feel like the background is getting cut a bit too late into the game. So we want to do something like this so that it just happens a lot faster. And in here, we want to start making it happen. And if we just make these guys follow earlier, now we can basically see the upcoming sections over in the background. And if you want to time it perfectly, so now it basically it's way too slow. So we're going to make it a bit faster by adjusting the value of our thing. And right here, it's actually, wait, this is actually not bad. Like you can see what the heck is going on, and it works phenomenally. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just close up the background at the end. Why? Well, I don't know, just because to do that, I'm just going to switch the IDs here from 5 to 6 and from 6 to 5, and boom. You guys can see our triple spike. We see it in the background, and then we jump on it, and I think that's pretty cool. I still feel like it's a tiny bit too slow. Let me just adjust the value again. And now we can see triple spike, now we can see the double spike. Good, good, good. All of it pretty phenomenal. And I think that's pretty much it, really. Just place this at the end to make sure no like weird stuff happens on the edge of the camera. And I think if you want to use the zoom trigger, just don't go crazy so that you can't see that this is a fake background. Because at the end of the day, it's not a real background, but it looks completely real, which is phenomenal. This is so slow, it's actually insane. And if you could see like the left section there, what you could do is just move like all of this, like everything, including the 7, a bit to the left. Or you could just like add like a completely black thing here, just to, you know, get rid of the, because first attempt is never the same as the second with the camera. So yeah, now we can see the triple spike, and we are jumping the triple spike. That's actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, this is working pretty fine. But you guys might have seen that the background kind of glitches with the objects here, and if that happens, it's just because it's a bad layering. So we're gonna select all of these guys, and to do that you can click here after having select filter enabled. Small tip at the end for those that are actually watching, and we're gonna make them on T1, and this way we are done. I think we are finished with every end effect using only 900 objects. If you want to go one step deeper and actually like implement the multiple perspective, you could do that. That would look a lot cleaner and a lot better, but the level has to be a bit longer. I'm gonna move the background a bit more down so that you can see more of what's going on. But yeah, that would be your guys' homework to do, to basically add one more perspective or one more depth into this. And other than that, it's pretty cool, except for the fact that there's a triple spike and I'm not that good at the game. But I'm just a creator. I'm actually a player too, but it doesn't really matter. But there we go. We can see this, and now the background is gonna close again, and phenomenal. You can even add a fake ground onto the background objects that we just saw. But this background looks phenomenally real. Like, I would not be able to tell that this is fake. Other than that, I think that's it. So make sure to slap the like, subscribe, and also watch the videos that are currently on the screen right now. I believe you guys are going to benefit from them a lot. And I will see you guys in one of the next videos. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and we'll see you guys over